I'm so glad you're back. I'm not sure if you recall, but the first time we spoke, there was a repairman there to fix your washing machine.
Oh man, it's bringing me back to a dark place.
And look, I've been waiting 6 years. How's the washing machine? Is it holding up?
That was the original concept, was that Stuart gets like a box of comics, and one of them is sort of like a portal to another dimension. And it would be cool because some of the OG character. Wait, I don't want to spoil anything. At one point, in order to keep everybody on the same page, production gave us all a sort of chart. All of the actors looked at the chart and we were like, this just, not only does this not help, but it just sort of proves how fucking complicated this is. What am I I have no idea what this means. Kunal was so balls to the wall, like so crazy, that we were like, oh, okay, it's on. It is on. He is not holding back.
It's just bug nuts crazy fun.
Yeah, that is incredible.
How would you describe our Stuart? Our Stuart who fails to save the universe? Okay.
This
is the fun part, by the way.
And this is the kind of discussions that we would have on set.
Yeah, Stuart Bloom is back, and this time he has got the fate of the multiverse on his shoulders. Joining me once again on the show is the marvelously talented actor who brings Stuart to life, now in the new hit series, Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. Kevin Sussman, welcome back to Comic Book Central.
Thank you. Great to be here.
I am so glad you're back. I'm not sure if you recall, but the first time we spoke, we were 6 weeks into COVID. The masks that you ordered had not yet arrived. You were using a t-shirt at the time. And there was a repairman there to fix your washing machine. Is this ringing any bells at all?
Oh man, it's bringing me back to a dark place. No, actually,
that was
still when the pandemic was what?
Or have we blocked it? Yeah, it was brand new.
Yeah, that was when it was still fun. When everyone was like, "Wait, we all get a vacation at the same time." That was around when I was going on Etsy and looking for the coolest masks, you know.
Yep.
The mask that in the end like did nothing because it wasn't the M95. I don't know if
we had to have the right ones. Yeah, I get it.
A mask or a bus. But yeah, wow. So
the key question, look, I've been waiting 6 years. How's the washing machine? Is it holding up?
No, it didn't. I wound up.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, no, it's gone. I've moved on.
You've moved on so many levels. Catch me up. What have you been up to, my friend? Anything new?
Yeah, I mean, holy moly. Well, there was the whole pandemic. I got married. I
Congratulations.
Met someone towards the end of the pandemic. There was like a window where things opened up for a little bit, and I met my wife. We went on a date we did one of the apps. Is how we met, and then we did a socially distant first date outside. Wow. We had a picnic, and I showed up with a mask and flowers, and we stayed away from each other. And then we started dating, and things started shutting down, and we wound up living together. And then when the pandemic was finally over, we started dating like months and months later. So, I mean, we lived together, but we had never been to the movies. We'd never gone to a restaurant. So it was like we did a reverse courtship because we were living like we were a married couple, but we had never experienced the simple, regular beginning courtship things.
Yeah. Congratulations. I mean,
thank you.
On every level. I mean, just like things are going gangbusters for you and for Stuart. Okay, during that chat, we talked about your origin story as an actor. We talked about your inspirations. We went through Big Bang Theory. So if anybody wants to check that out, that conversation is out there. But I want to revisit one point. Here's what you said in 2020 about the Stuart and Denise relationship. You said, I noticed online on my Twitter and Instagram, people were really invested in that relationship. It was a shame that they only discovered Lauren Lapkus so late into the series because she was so good and so perfect for that show, too. I said, invested in the sense that you could have a spinoff, maybe you and John Ross Bowie, your buddy. Young Sheldon can't last forever, correct?
Wow.
And your answer was, boy, wouldn't that have been nice? I don't think that's
Wow.
going to
I
happen.
did
I
not
don't think that's
remember.
going to happen. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
That's
I went back and
incredible.
re-listened to it. Now, it happened.
Yeah, that is incredible. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I had completely forgotten about that conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know something then that you weren't telling me, or are you
No.
just as surprised as the rest of us when this became a reality? It feels like
Yes.
maybe you knew a little something, something at the time. Maybe.
No, I truly didn't. At the time, Chuck had, and I've gone over this with him, Chuck Lorre, the creator of Big Bang, and Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. When Big Bang ended, he called me, which was unusual. He'd never called me before. And he said, thank you so much for all your work on Big Bang, and let me know what you're up to if you get cast in anything. And I thought he was being polite. Like I told my wife, that was so nice of him. He made it seem like he cared what I was up to.
Right.
And
Right.
then just recently, when we were doing the when we were at San Diego Comic-Con, I brought that up in an interview. I brought up in an interview that I was completely shocked because apparently he had been thinking about this since the end of Big Bang Theory. And I said I had no idea. And he said, but I told you, let me know if you're what you're up to. And I said, I thought you were being polite. I didn't know that like you actually meant that.
So that was code at the time. Like he knew that was going, because I think he's talked about the fact like he kind of envisioned what, like something was going on in the basement of the comic store, of a portal or something. Like he had always intended for something to
Oh,
be in the basement of the Comic Center of Pasadena, like something, like some crazy idea, right?
yeah, when he did tell me, and this was in 2022 when he first contacted me about it. And I went into his office, and at that time I had no idea why he was calling me into his office. I was so confused. I thought, how can I be in Young? I assumed he wanted me to do like a guest spot in Young Sheldon or something, but that didn't make sense. So I didn't know what was going on, and then he said that because he had just watched me in Better Call Saul. And he was asking me all these questions about Better Call Saul because apparently it was his favorite show, and I had just appeared on it, and so he was. So then I thought, oh, okay, this is because he's a huge Better Call Saul fan, so he wanted to ask me about working with Vince Gilligan and everything, and then when that small talk was done, he said, "Do you know why you're here?" And I said, "No," and that's when he said, "Well, I have this idea." And he pitched, and that was the original concept, was that Stewart gets like a box of comics, and one of them is sort of like a portal to another dimension or something. And
Okay.
and it pretty much, and he said that it would involve other original cast members as alternate versions of themselves, and it would be cool because some of the OG character. Wait, I don't want to spoil anything. I mean, 2 episodes are out.
We're okay. So as we're recording this, 2 episodes are in. I can't promise that the third one. I've seen all 10, so I'm being very, very careful. I'm monitoring you as we go through because I know
Okay,
what's going to
okay,
happen. I'll be the safety guard here. I know what's going to happen. It's
yeah.
mind blowing. Fans will love it. But as we'll say safely two. We know Raj and Penny.
Okay.
I mean, we know
Yeah.
those.
So, and he was like, and they will love it because they get to play alternate versions of themselves. And so the germ of the idea largely stayed in place. I mean, it wasn't like a comic book was a portal, but they came up with he worked with Zach Penn. So it was written by Zach Penn, who wrote Free Guy and at least one of the X-Men movies and Ready Player One. So he's got those sci-fi chops. And Bill Prady, who he co-created Big Bang Theory with. And so the gist of the idea was alternate universe type stuff, alternate dimension type stuff. And the comic book store is sort of the central location. And some of the OG characters appear as alternate versions of themselves. Yeah, so
What was
it
your thoughts?
largely
You're in
stayed.
this meeting. Okay, you're in this meeting, and this is being pitched to you. What's your thought at that point?
Just like I was just so surprised. It was so unexpected. Even of all the possibilities for why I was in that meeting, it just didn't occur to me because also it was Big Bang had been off the air for 7 years. That's crazy. I was a young
Yeah.
man when it started. So, I thought that ship had sailed and they already had, their other spin-offs. So I was just, it was kind of, I mean, I was just inwardly ecstatic and just trying not to have a freak out in the man's office. The other thing is, in that meeting, he said, don't tell anyone because Big Bang Theory is such a big, juggernaut that if word gets out this early in development, because he hadn't written any scripts, um, that it won't be good. If word gets out, there'll be so many eyeballs on this and so much scrutiny, and it won't be good for the development of the show. So don't tell anybody. And Chuck Lorre says to keep a secret, and I kept a secret, and I didn't tell my agent or my manager. The only
Oh,
person that knew was my
wow.
wife. Yeah, and I tell my manager everything. I mean, my
Yeah, I
manager's
would
like my
think.
second mom,
Yeah.
and it was like keeping a secret from my mom, my second mom. And I didn't tell my first mom either. That was easier. But
You've worked on a Spielberg film before. Like, were you ever, did you ever work on anything with this level of secrecy before?
well, I mean, I have, but in big movies that I've done where there've been NDAs and
Yeah.
like I'm part of
But like where you're
the
doing a
I'm
ton of interviews and can't talk, like you're
y-
answering questions that you can't answer. Anything on that level?
no, because I've never been involved with like one of those big NDA projects where I was one of the central guys. Usually
Yeah.
I'm like only getting my section, my scene, and I don't
Right.
even know I'm not privy to the big picture. But so anyway, I had to keep this thing a secret from everybody, and I didn't hear from him again for months. And I got to the point where I was like, wait a minute. And I literally checked my emails to confirm, no, that's right here. Here is the appointment. That happened. I had a meeting with Chuck Lorre because I was like, did I make this up? But yeah.
You had a
And then it
Stewart
was, and then
alternate
it did.
reality moment of like,
Yeah,
did
exactly.
alternate Kevin Sussman meet with like was that a real
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It was pretty surreal. I mean, that
Eh,
that time was also already surreal because we were still this was, he called me in and I think it was 2022, so it was the tail end of the pandemic.
yeah.
Yeah, because I remember thinking, do I wear a mask to this meeting? I don't want to infect Chuck Lorre, shut
Maybe there will
down
be a
half of Warner
pandemic
Brothers.
episode of Stewart. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll see that. I can say pretty much every script raises more questions than it answers. I think we're safe to say that going in. As an actor, was there a point when you're filming where you're saying, okay, what Stuart am I playing now? Where am I at? Like, was there a point where Kevin Sussman was saying to anybody, oh, I guess Chuck and all those guys, they're all there. You could probably just go
Yeah,
off. Was there a point where
yeah,
you did that?
there were some times because they're different. Well, there's Stuart, and then there in the pilot, there's another Stuart,
Hmm.
and I don't want to get too into the weeds since not all the shows may have come out yet, but
Right.
there are, I will say that there are alternative universes, parallel universes, and then there's a little bit of time travel. And at one point, in order to keep everybody on the same page, production gave us all a sort of chart with a circular chart that had sort of spokes coming off the side to sort of explain, because as you said, as it goes along it gets a little more convoluted and it's already
Yeah.
not the simplest thing.
Right.
And the chart just did not, like, all of the actors looked at the chart and we were like, this just, not only does this not help, but it just sort of proves how complicated this is. What am I supposed? I have no idea what this means. So I just sort of, a scene at a time, and right
Okay, so
before,
that's what I'm curious about. Was there part of you that's the actor Kevin that's just like, okay, I just got to do this. I just got to hit my mark, say my lines, and hope that it
yeah,
works out.
well, there were things there were some, I'm not the type of actor that needs to know that needs to go really deep with abstract um motivations and stuff. Like, I just want, like, what is happening here, and so, like, I don't want to overcomplicate things.
Right.
I like to simplify things. So there were some times before we did scenes where I would ask Bill Prady, I'd be like, okay, explain to me the science behind this, because I don't know how to approach this, because I don't know, like, what explain to me what's going on here, just so that, like, I have some semblance of a reality for myself. And he would explain actual quantum physics popular theory in a way that I was able to grasp onto it for like 10 minutes. And then they would call action, just so I would know, like, where I'm coming from,
Yeah.
and do the scene. But I couldn't, like, it's all escaped me now. I do know that anytime, because there would be times where I would say, like, look, I'm still going to do this scene and everything, but I just want to point out that, this section right here, I understand we're taking, like, an artistic liberty here because it doesn't quite make sense. And he'd be like, actually, Kevin, and he would lay out why, in fact, it does make sense, and I'm just a dummy. And I'd be like, oh my God, that's amazing. Wow. There was never a point in which I asked, like, a question about the logic or the science in which Bill was not able to say, this is something that we thought about and this is why it makes sense, at least, in their version
Yeah.
of this.
No, that's good because as a viewer too, I experienced the same thing. You're not alone. I experienced the same thing, but I did get a sense that there is some science behind it, that it was thought through, and it's like it almost feels Mystery Science Theater 3000 to me, of like the theme song where it's like it's really just a show. You should just relax, and it's like don't ask
Yeah.
too many questions and just have fun and enjoy the ride, enjoy the roller coaster. We're going somewhere crazy and it's going to end up and you're going to be happy at the end of it. So I
Yeah.
kind
I,
of got
I
a
hope
sense of
that
that.
at some point that, like, Bill Prady goes on Reddit, because I know that it's exactly the type of show, because this show, as Chuck and Bill have said, um, it's the kind of show that the guys on The Big Bang Theory would watch and argue
Yes.
over. And the thing is, Chuck and Bill kind of are those guys too. And so I hope at some point that Bill, like, goes on Reddit or something and fields all those nitpicky questions. Because like I said, I, tried to point out, loopholes there, here and there. And he has, like, at least, some of it is theory. It's quantum physics, theory. So, but he sticks to popular quantum physics theory, and I was not able to penetrate his,
Yeah.
his wall of logic. So,
Yeah. But in all fairness, it's fun. It's like I mean, when you get right down to it, it's just bug nuts crazy fun. And I think
yeah.
that's what I appreciate about it. And I interviewed John Ross Bowie about this, and he did mention, and I've heard that phrase come up a few times. This is the kind of show that the Big Bang guys would watch and argue over. And now that takes on new resonance now that I've seen all the episodes, because it feels like there's a whiteboard that Sheldon would put together, and they'd have to
Yes.
argue this like they did with the Back to the Future timelines and everything.
Yeah,
And
I
that
feel
all
like
makes so much more sense to me.
I feel like the chart that I was telling you about
Yeah.
feels like Sheldon made that.
If there was like a season 5 and it ended, and it turns out this was all a Big Bang Theory episode, it feels like that would be a whiteboard. Whatever Bill
Totally.
had showed you would be sitting there. That feels like it to me, like it could happen, but we'll see. I mean, the episodes are out there. So I just want to make sure the Stuart who recruits our Stuart in episode 1, that's the Stuart that we've known from the Big Bang Theory, who dated Denise, who lived with the Wallowitzes and took care of the kids. That's that
Yes.
Stuart. We do know
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah. And that Stewart is actually not the protagonist of this spinoff. The
Right.
protagonist of this spinoff. Well, I think
Okay, so
that's
that's my next
actually,
question. How would you describe, quote unquote, our Stuart? Our
yeah.
Stuart who fails to save the universe.
There's I this is actually this okay. The
This is the fun part, by the way.
our Stewart is Apocalypse Stewart. That
Yes.
is the Stewart that starts the show. Um, Stewart Prime, which is what we called the Stewart that comes and speaks to our Stewart in the
The
pilot.
recruiter. The
Yeah,
recruiter
the
of the savior of
recruiter.
the unit. Right.
Yeah, he's the Stewart that we all know from the Big Bang Theory. The question is whether Apocalypse Stewart is the same Stewart. And so have we moved in time, or is it a different, have we shifted time, or have we shifted in parallel? And honestly, I'm not even the right person to ask that question. That would be a
Yeah.
question for Bill. But it's, for that Stewart is definitely different than, whether he's different because he's from a parallel universe. And this is the kind of discussions that we would have on set. Like, is he different because he's from a parallel universe, or is he different because of events that took place lead from the Big Bang Theory that have changed him, because Stewart would be a different person if he survived through an apocalypse. And
Right.
this is what I mean. Like, for me, I just try to simplify, and it's like that question doesn't need to be answered. The main thing is that this is a guy who has been living in an apocalypse, and so that is how I differentiated between the two.
Did that come up on set with your co-stars? I mean, Lauren Lapkus, John Ross Bowie, Brian Posehn. I mean, we want to mention them. Um, the quartet of you. It feels Seinfeldian. It feels Beatles. It feels Monkeys. I don't know. Compare it to whatever you want. You guys feel right. Did that come up amongst you as your craft services and or were you all just
Yeah.
like,
No, it did. It
what?
did. It felt right. It feels right. We are great friends. We were great friends, before the show, and I think that Chuck, you know, uh, Chuck just has a great ability to know how to orchestrate like a core group of people. I think that's by design. Chuck just knew that Chuck and Bill and Zach, of course. But Zach obviously not as familiar with these characters because he'd never worked on Big Bang Theory. But yeah, it felt right to us. And it also, the thing that I like about it is it works in a way, but the dynamic is also its own thing. It's not trying to be the Big Bang Theory. It's a separate core group. There are some similarities. There's the Kripke would be the annoying one, but he's not quite Sheldon.
No, I had him on the show and he said something that made me fall in love with the show harder before I watched the first episode, was that they based his character on Dr. Smith from Lost in Space. And I just went, I'm in. I mean, I'm already in, but I'm in harder. I'm in for the whatever the
Yeah,
run is. And
yeah,
so, and it felt like Lost in Space. It feels like Quantum Leap you mentioned. It feels like Back to the Future. It feels like all these things. The Matrix we saw in the trailer. There's some Matrixy visuals. Like
people have
it,
mentioned Sliders,
yeah,
a show called
sliders.
Sliders. I'm not
You should get the
familiar with
time
that one, but
travel.
yeah.
You get the time travel aspect. No, but like, Stuart's still in Ebbish. He's still at the comic book store. He, I mean, all the Bert, those asides, the brilliant asides that we don't necessarily get in a sitcom.
Yeah.
It allows you guys. I mean, even the
Yeah,
improv
the
I talked
thumbs
about with
up.
that with
Bert with his thumbs
yes,
up.
yeah. I mean, we talked about that in a three camera sitcom or a four camera sitcom, but like you can't really improv.
Right.
John said it feels like somebody screwed up, but this one you guys got
Yeah.
to. Where did those improv skills come in, and can you give us like the coolest example of something that maybe was found on set?
Yeah, so there wasn't that much improv, a little bit, but really not that much. For me, I think the one that's comes to mind in episode 2 is just my reactions when she was when Penny is slapping me. Um,
Yes, we can talk about
um,
that one because there's a deprogramming. It's not Penny. It ain't next door Penny.
right, right.
It's
Yeah,
yeah. It's I'm slapping you around Penny
yeah,
for
yeah. She's
reasons
a
that you can watch it.
revolutionary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but the funny
she's
thing
the
is
leader
how
of a
many slaps
rebellion.
Stewart takes before he gets mad.
Yeah, there were many. Actually, it was harder on her because she had to slap all of us, and it's a stage slap. She's not really hitting us. We're
Yeah.
trying to time it, and so she had to do it a lot because to make it look real and really sell it. So her arm was really hurting by the end of the day from
So nothing
constantly slapping.
connected.
No, not on purpose. No.
Okay, because I know, like in Raiders, I'm a huge Raiders of the Lost Ark fan. It's like,
Yeah.
Karen Allen said she connected with Harrison Ford on the take that's in the film. I think even Gosling connected with him on the Blade Runner sequel. Like, it's like sometimes things happen.
Yeah.
You guys aren't used to stunts. You guys are used to sitting on the couch and eating
Yeah.
Chinese food. So I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
didn't know if, like, okay, so you walked me into it. Cuoco's back. Kunal's back. Like, we know that we can talk about that. When these, and we've seen other cameos come in, when those OG characters come in, those Big Bang Theory characters come in, what did you guys think? Like, when you realize, okay, we're getting, especially one of I think the core seven, once somebody from the core seven comes back.
Yeah, because there's also a lot of little cameos from recurring characters and
Yeah.
other various people you recognize. Kunal was the first one that, because he's in the pilot, and he was so balls to the wall, like so crazy that we were like, oh, okay, it's on. It is on. He is not holding back. And it was just great, so lovely, such a wonderful reunion, and we just had so much fun because it was, I mean, we were all such good friends on Big Bang Theory, but when Big Bang Theory ended, everybody sort of goes their separate ways. They've all got their new careers and stuff like that, and I keep in touch with those guys a little bit, but I certainly haven't gotten to spend, a week straight with them working every day, and it was just so much fun and such a wonderful reunion, and having Chuck there and Bill, and there were certain parts of it that were like putting on an old glove. It was just like you fall right back into where we were 7 years ago. But also we were all also enjoying the newness of the circumstances and this type of production. And it's not a multicam, and the comic book store is there, but it's different. And there's like a ceiling and four walls. And so it was like, it had both, it was delightful in ways that were both old and new.
You walked me right into the comic store. It's John had mentioned, because I said, is there anywhere we should be looking for Easter eggs? And he was just like, well, if you look at the comic book store, I mean, the set dressing is beyond anything. And
So
it sort
good.
of gives a hint at each episode. It sort of gives a thing. Was there, he loved walking around it, looking at stuff.
Oh
Did
yeah.
you, what was your favorite part about the various comic book stores? And like, is there an
Uh,
Easter egg that's your favorite? Can you say anything?
um,
Maybe you can't.
they show some of the there's a couple of gags in episode 2 with like um Lex Luthor and Superman best buddies. There were the jokes that wind up in the show are just a small fraction of the comics that the amazing set decorators created. A lot, and for each episode that where there are scenes that take place in the comic book store, the comic book store is completely revamped with comic books all over the store that match with really funny titles and stuff that match the theme of that world. I wish I didn't have the memory of a spaghetti strainer, because I should have actually I did
I
take
know in
some
episode
pictures.
2, there's a lot of Archie comic books. Let's just say there's a lot of Archie comic
Yeah,
books.
yeah, yeah. But there are also comic books that match the sort of non-confrontational vibe of that episode that didn't make it into the episode. And every
Oh,
episode has lots of stuff, comic books and graphic novels that match the theme with really funny titles. And Lauren and I, for some weird reason, have a bunch of scenes where we're entering the main part of the comic book store from the hallway. And even in the hallway, which never appears really in throughout the season, the set people made all these comics and graphic novels with spines that with, all like custom made comics that fit the theme. And then there's also little toys and miniatures and every episode and big statues and stuff like in the uh oh, I guess no, I can't say. Yeah, there are larger elements of the comic book store that change from episode to episode as well.
yes, that's
So
fair
that
to
was
say.
cool. I mean, and there was always something to look at in that comic book store. I mean, a comic book store set in general, even on Big Bang, where
Right.
it didn't change very much, already is so jam-packed with fun stuff to look at. It's such a fun set to work on.
All right, you walked me right into that question because the last time we spoke, I asked you if there was anything that you took from Big Bang, and you had
And I
mentioned the
talked
one
about the
thing you
clipboard.
regretted. You talked about the clipboard. You regretted not taking the clipboard. First question, did you ever get the clipboard?
No, and
Washing machine
I
broken,
know,
clipboard still not got. I
I
mean,
know,
you
I know.
gotta,
I have to be
we got
very zen
cliffhangers there.
about
You
it.
gotta help me with, man.
Yeah, no, I have to practice Zen detachment. Material. I have to let go of the material things.
My next question was, did you learn your lesson? Did you steal anything from Stuart? So apparently, no.
Right. Yeah. No, but the prop people for Stewart listened to a podcast, maybe it was yours, where I was talking about the clipboard. And they came to me and said, we heard you talking about the clipboard, and we know you never got your clipboard. And we went to where they kept all the Big Bang Theory props, and we looked for the clipboard, but we couldn't find the clipboard. So they tried to recreate the clipboard using clips from what they saw because it had stickers and stuff like that. So it was very, I mean, that was I mean, they literally were like magnifying stills from the Big Bang Theory to try to figure out what was on that clipboard that was so beloved to me. But that was the attention to detail that they put in for all that stuff.
All right, so you need
But
to go
no,
back
I
and
didn't. Did I take anything? No, I didn't take anything from the set.
well, hopefully
Uh,
season two, when you could still, I'm
yeah,
giving you, look, I'm giving you the
an
direction now
assignment.
of like learn the lesson. Yeah, grab something.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe grab the clipboard. Look, I know we're running out of time. I got to go a little bit of speed run here. Real
okay.
quick, non-Stewart question, but definitely a Kevin Sussman question. Last time we talked, you spoke about the possibility of developing a Gene Wilder biopic. Is that dream still alive?
I mean, that was, I don't remember saying that, but that is certainly a dream that, sure. Yeah.
Okay, but nothing concrete.
No, no, no.
Okay. I will say I have seen the finale. It is mind blowing. You've said it's going to leave the fans wanting more. I certainly agree with that. When will we know if we're getting more
I don't
after
know.
10?
They would have to, we would have to, if they wanted to come out on the same like schedule, because they have, Chuck wrote all of these before we shot any of them. He sort of had to so that they could do the prep for all of the CG stuff and the sets and everything like that. And so he would have to do that again. So I'm hoping that we'll know like within a month or so. I think if they want to stay on the same schedule, I would assume it would have to be within like a month or two at the latest, unless it just
Okay.
might not come out on the same schedule. I don't know.
Do you have a good feeling?
I mean, I feel pretty good about it. We've been,
Okay.
a lot. We've gotten a lot of good feedback. So
All right. Sussman speed round. Here we go. Stewart says the comic books are his superpowers. What's one superpower you want in real life?
invisibility,
Batman or Superman?
Batman or
Yeah.
Superman? Oh, Batman.
Betty or Veronica?
It's got all those gadgets. Betty or Veronica? Veronica. No, wait. No, sorry, Betty. No, wait. Which one is which? I should know this. I've worked in
Betty
the comic.
Blonde, Veronica Burnett?
Veronica. Yeah.
Veronica. Mel Brooks or Gene Wilder?
Gene Wilder.
Doctor Doom or Lex Luthor?
Lex Luthor.
Which Big Bang cast member is most likely to survive a real multiverse apocalypse?
Uh, oh boy. Kunal.
Finish a sentence. Stuart Fails to Save the Universe is
Weird.
favorite action film?
Raiders.
That's the correct answer. Most likely Big Bang or Stewart cast member to make you break character?
All of them. But probably like it was probably Lauren because Lauren was more likely to be in my face.
One actor you'd love to work with that you haven't yet?
Um, Gary Oldman.
One word your fans should use to describe Stuart Fails to Save the Universe.
Weird.
Kevin, always a pleasure catching up with you. Congrats on Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. I wish you all the success in the multiverse. Thank you for coming back to Comic Book Central. Let's not wait another 6 years before we do this
Yeah.
again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
For this,
we won't have a
the finale.
pandemic spreading out our meeting
No,
again.
let's not do that. Let's hit for the finale and then hopefully for season two soon.
All right.
All right. Thanks,
This
brother.
is
I
fun.
appreciate
Thanks,
it.
man.